What's up, you guys? Corey Hankerson here from Legacy Tax and Financial Planning, author of End the Tax Nightmare, Insider Secrets to Beat the IRS and Reduce Your Tax Debt. All right, guys, I'm coming to you today quick with a really quick sort of rough video. I'm not going to do any editing or anything like that, so forgive me if it's not the best edited version of my videos. But earlier today, some of you know I sent out a text message to a lot of my existing clients and some family and friends as well, asking you guys, had you applied for the SBA program, which is offering loans and grants to small business owners, including independent contractors? Getting a lot of text message responses back that a lot of folks hadn't even heard of it, weren't exactly sure what it was. I jumped on with a few people and did some sort of one-on-one explanations and whatnot. So I wanted to sort of record a video and just kind of walk you through it as I see it online, and sort of explain as best I could what the process is, first of all, and how you go about applying for the SBA proceeds, right? So first of all, it's called the COVID-19 Economic Injury Disaster Loan Application. What a name, right? COVID-19 Economic Injury Disaster Loan Application. It's through the SBA administration, the federal, Small Business Administration there. They have two different components to this particular program, okay? So the first part of the program is a grant. The second part of the program is a loan, okay? One application for both parts of the program. So the way it works is you fill out the one application, you're going to apply for them both together, all right? Now, if you apply for them both and you do not receive the loan, you can still get the grant, the $10,000 grant. So you don't have to accept or get the loan in order to get the grant. Right now, they have loans up to about $40,000. The thing is, with this particular program, though, they've only allocated a certain amount of money to the program. Right now, I think it's about $40 billion that they've allocated to this particular program on the federal level. The grant that they're giving out again is the grant that they're giving out is $10,000 for the grant. But the loan is up to about 40 grand right now is the average that I'm hearing people are receiving from the program. So if you do the math, right, they've allocated 40, $50 billion to this. They're giving away anywhere from $10 to $50,000 per person on this program. It's first come, first serve. The point is, this money is not going to last very long, right? So that's the reason why I wanted to do a quick video and explain the program to people and explain how they can apply. And, you sort of take it from there, right? You take it in a submit your application and see what happens. So in order to do it, you want to go to the SBA's website. They have a website specifically set up for this. Don't just go to sba.gov. If you do, you can certainly find it by going to sba.gov, but that's the long way. They have a specific application just for this COVID-19 Economic Injury Disaster Loan Application Program, right? So the way you get there is you go to COVID-19 Relief .sba.gov. Again, that's COVID-19 relief.sba.gov. Okay, so that'll take you to the site. It's a basic no frills blue website. White website with blue text. Right. So once you get there, at the very top, it's going to say Disaster Loan Assistance right at the top of the page. Disaster Loan Assistance. Right. It's going to have an OMB control number on the right hand side. You see the expiration date. It expires in just about 4 or 5 months from now. So it's a very temporary, short-term program. But again, it's first comes, first serve, and I want to sort of help everybody take advantage of it while it's still available. So you see where it says streamline process requirements. That's where you want to start. Okay, you scroll down from there. It says eligibility verification. So the first thing you want to do on this page, it says choose one. Right, so the application is a business with not more than 500 employees, co-op with not more than 500 employees, employee stock ownership program, an ESOP, tribal business concerns, small business including agriculture. Application is a business with more than 500 employees that is small under SBA size. That means you're doing under about 22 million in revenue. You can still be small. And the last choice there, it says application is a private nonprofit organization that is a non-governmental entity. For most people, if you're an independent contractor, you're a small business. My clients, I'm talking truck drivers, realtors, independent insurance agents. I got a lot of those guys as clients, as tax clients of mine. You typically want to select applicant is a small business with not more than 500 employees. The very first choice on that page is typically the one you want to select. Or you're going to select applicant is an individual that operates as a sole proprietorship with or without employees, or ta-da, as an independent contractor. Most of the time, programs like this are not available to independent contractors. In this particular case, it is, right? So you can select one or two there as an independent contractor with or without employees, or you have employees, but you want to have under 500. If you're a big business that has more than 500 employees, there's an entirely different set of programs that are established and set aside for large businesses. But this particular program is really uniquely targeted towards small businesses, okay? So if we scroll down to the bottom, we're still on the first page. It says review and check all of the following. And really, you just want to check every single thing on the page, right? You want to check all of those items. You don't derive more than a third of your income from gambling. You're not in the business of lobbying. You're not a state or local government. You're not engaged in any illegal activity. Those are obviously things that you just want to check them all. It literally says review and check all of the following. So you want to just do that. Don't make it harder than it is. The next page, the second page, says step 1 of 3, business information. You want to enter the business's legal name. Okay, so you enter that at the top, not your name, but the business's name. You want to also enter the trade name, right? So if you are, let's say, for example, you have a legal name of, I don't know, 123 Corporation, but you do business as, Michael's Chicken and Waffles. So you want to enter 123 Corporation as the business's legal name, but for example, Michael's Chicken and Waffles as the business's trade name, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so you want to enter those things there. So I'm going to do that here as I do it right along with you. Okay. All right, so you want to enter the business's tax ID number, EIN, or employer identification number, which is just your tax ID number, right there on the third line, okay? All right. The next choice is going to ask you for the organization type, whether you're an LLC, a sole proprietorship, a S Corp. You want to enter that information there. Are you a nonprofit? You'll select yes or no there. Are you a franchise? You'll select that. Now, this third question here, a lot of people have been asking me. It says gross revenues for the 12 months prior to the date of the disaster, which for these purposes, it's saying that the date of the disaster is January 31st of this year, 2020. So you want to just list what your gross revenues were for, for all intents and purposes for last year. How much money did you make in gross sales, not profit, gross revenue last year? Okay. So we want to enter a number there. Now, cost of goods sold. A lot of you, my clients, typically don't have cost of goods sold. That's usually going to apply more to a restaurant, a convenience store, a retail business that buys products and then resells them. But if you are a real estate agent, an insurance agent, a consultant, something like that, if you're doing a drop ship business, you probably don't have cost of goods sold. If you do, then if you're unsure of the answer to that question, then it might be worth making a quick phone call to your accountant, which is what I've been getting those calls all day. But it might be worth doing that just so you make sure that you enter the correct information there. Okay. The next line is asking you if you rent properties, right? I sent this text to a lot of landlords earlier. If you rent properties, you want to put the amount of lost rent due to the disaster, in this case, the coronavirus. So in other words, have your tenants been unable to pay you because of the coronavirus? So you'll put that information there. If it doesn't apply to you, then leave it blank. The same for the next several lines. The next line is going to be asking about a nonprofit. The next line is going to be also asking about a nonprofit or faith-based entity. That doesn't apply to you, leave it blank. Okay. So if we skip down to the next line, the next required line are the ones that are entered in red. So if we skip down to the next one of those, it's asking you for your primary business address. So you put that there. What's your primary business address? Okay, you want to put in the next required line after the address is your business's phone number. You want to enter that there. And it's very particular about the format that you enter phone numbers. So just make sure that you comply with the format that it's asking you to use. Okay. Oh, wait, let's try this one more time. Perfect. All right, so if you have an alternate phone number, you would input it there on the next line. As we go down, the next required items there are your email address. Obviously, enter your email address because that's going to be the primary means that the SBA is going to contact you, and we'll see why as we move on later in the process. Okay, the date your business was established. What date did you start your business? Okay, so you want to input that there. The current ownership since is the next line, what the next line says. I've gotten a few questions about that. That's basically asking you, how long have you owned the business? Okay, you're the current owner. So it's saying you've been the current owner since when, effectively, right? So if you started the business, which is the case for a lot of you guys, then you'll put the same date in both lines. If you are the current owner and you've always been the current owner, then those two lines are going to be the same for you. The next line is asking about business. It's about business activity, right? What does your business do? And it's a drop-down box, and you've got a bunch of choices there. So I'll select mine. You select yours. What type of activity does your business engage in? The next line is going to ask you for something that's more specific to the type of activity that you indicated on the line above. So, for example, if you say that you are an insurance agency, the next line is going to ask you life insurance, warranty companies, property and casualty, etc. Right? If you had said, for example, that you are a construction or contracting company, the next line is going to say flooring, heating and air conditioning, household related, plumbing, roofing, etc. Right? If you had said that you are in manufacturing, the next line might say, well, actually it says none of the below, but because they have a different category of SBA money for them. Automotive repair, agriculture, etc. Right? So that line is asking you for a little more specifics as to what you indicated is the type of business activity that you are engaged in. Okay. Now, the next question here, a lot of people have had comments or questions about number of employees. How many employees did your business have as of the date of the disaster? Which again, for purposes of this application, the date of the disaster was January 31st of this year. So you want to list the number of employees you actually have. If you are an employee of your business, then you count yourself in that particular column. Okay. And of course, if you have no employees, then your answer is 0. Right. Now, the next section, you are listing owners. Right. You want to input them there. One thing that I find is tripping a lot of people up again is the phone number, right? So in the third blank there, it's asking you for your business's phone number. Make sure that you input it in the format that it's asking for it in. If you don't, it won't accept it. It'll say invalid phone number, even though you know that you're actually putting in the right digits, it won't accept it. So make sure you're putting that in correctly. The next thing it's going to ask you for is the title. Are you the CEO? Are you the founder? Are you the manager? You want to input that there. The next required item is ownership. For many of you, it's going to be 100%. For some of you, maybe you have a partner, so it's 50-50. Maybe you have two partners, so you each own 33 1/3%. But you want to enter the relevant percentage of the business that you own. That's what it's asking there. Then, of course, you have to enter your social. As part of this process, they are going to check your credit. What I've been told is that the reason that they're checking your credit is to make sure that you're only applying for one application, right? So you're only allowed to do this once per business. Currently, those are the current rules from what I'm told. You're only allowed to do it once. Okay? You enter your birthday, your place of birth, right? You want to input that there, city and state. Okay. You'll enter, are you a U.S. citizen? Of course, you'll enter that there. And then finally, you'll end with your residential address. Okay. So once all of that information is entered in properly, you should be allowed to move on to the next section. And one thing that I find has tripped up several people on this particular screen, if you look all the way at the top, all the way at the very top under business owners information, it says, is your business owned by a business entity? Two things there that are tripping people up. First of all, a lot of folks just miss that question entirely. It's sort of easy to overlook. So you want to make sure that you check something there. But substantively, what that question is asking is your business essentially owned by another business, or owned by a corporation, or owned by an LLC, or owned by another entity, in other words, right? If you are the actual owner of the business, if you are listed as the business's owner on paper, your answer is no. However, if your, for example, LLC is owned by another partnership, or is owned by another S Corp, or owned by another C Corp, then your answer would be yes. So you want to make sure that you select the right item there. Once we're done, you select next and move on to the next screen there. You want to answer these sort of background questions at the top. Hopefully your answers are no. Have you been convicted of any crimes, etc., etc. Now, in the middle, the blue box in the middle of this page here is asking, has anyone assisted you with preparing this application? Whether you paid them a fee or not, you must enter that person's information below. So if you've hired someone to help you, or if someone is sitting down with you filling out this application for you, then you'll enter their information there. Right? Moving down, one thing that's important, right in the middle of that screen, it says, I would like to be considered for an advance of up to $10,000. Now, remember earlier I said that there are two parts to this particular process, right? There's a grant for $10,000, and there's a loan which people have been getting, 20, 30, 40 grand on for the loan, okay? In order to get the grant, you have to check that box. It says, I would like to be considered for an advance of up to $10,000. If you don't check that box, they're not gonna consider you for the grant. You should receive the grant within about 3 or 4 days of submitting of your application being approved. So I'm sitting here doing it now. Today is Monday, March the 30th. By the end of the week, I would expect to have received word back from the SBA on this particular grant. The loan is going to take longer. What's going to happen here is you're going to receive an email from the SBA administration asking you for additional paperwork so that they can process your request for the loan. You may receive the loan, maybe you won't receive the loan, but either way, you're still eligible to receive the grant. In other words, receipt of the $10,000 grant is not dependent upon whether or not you want or are approved for getting the loan. They're two separate things, even though they're on one application. Okay. Last thing here on this page, you want to enter the bank, because they are going to be doing this by direct deposit. So you enter your bank name there. You want to enter the account number there, and you want to enter the routing number on in the third box there. After that, another thing that's been tripping a lot of people up, all the way at the very bottom, it says, I certify under penalty of perjury, right? So that the information contained on this application is true and correct. You have to check that box. And if you don't check that box, you'll be wondering why it won't let you move on to the next phase of the application, or why you can't submit the app. It's probably because you missed that checkbox. Okay? So you check there. It'll bring you to a summary page where you can look over all of the information that you input there. Make sure that everything that you input is correct. You want to check I am not a robot at the bottom of the form there. And then once you're done, you click submit, send it off. You'll receive immediately an email confirmation you'll receive immediately a confirmation number rather on the very next page, letting you know that your application has been submitted. It was all there. You'll receive an email from the SBA once they've received it and began to processing. They're probably going to be asking you for additional documentation. Some of the documentation they're going to ask you can expect that they're going to want to see your tax returns and proof of some of the other items that you put in the application. All those things are related to receiving the loan, right? But again, whether you accept or are approved to receive the loan, you can still be eligible to actually receive the grant. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. A lot of folks have been asking about that. All right, guys. So I hope that helps with regard to filling out the what's it called here? The disaster relief thing here. Hope that helps. If you have any additional questions, you can go ahead and text me or email me like you guys have already been doing all day long. All right. Talk to you later. Bye bye.